Can America defeat China if its aircraft carriers can't get within range? While the US Navy and Marine Corps have both been working tirelessly to find ways to extend the reach of America's carrier strike groups, it may be the Air Force that would need to lead the way in a conflict with China. Northrop Grumman's forthcoming B-21 Raider is expected to be the stealthiest bomber ever to take to the skies and will offer global strike capabilities similar to that of its predecessor, the B-2 Spirit. The B-21, then, may come to the Navy's rescue by flying long-distance bombing missions over Chinese shorelines, engaging DF-21D and other hypersonic anti-ship platforms to clear the way for America's carriers to sail close enough to begin launching sorties of their own. However, because the DF-21D is road mobile, it's likely that it will be difficult to be sure where these platforms are. That's where the Army may be able to help. Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy recently let the cat out of the bag about a new program under his purview called Vintage Racer, which is a previously undisclosed hypersonic weapon that, unlike the hypersonic missiles employed by China and Russia, aims to solve problems through data collection and lots of brainpower, rather than brute force alone. Vintage Racer closes with targets at hypersonic speeds, making it just as difficult to defend against as China's own hypersonic missiles, but once it reaches a target area, the platform deploys a loitering system that uses its own sensors to find hidden or moving targets in the area. Once that system spots a mobile missile platform, it can then engage and destroy it. Could a new fighter solve this problem? With the Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles Q. Brown, Jr. recently claiming that the U.S. Air Force needs to develop a clean-sheet stealth fighter that combines some F-35 capabilities with the cost-effectiveness of a fourth-generation fighter, it's clear that the United States no longer sees the F-35 as a solution for every problem. The Air Force also claimed to have designed, built, and flight-tested a sixth-generation fighter platform that will likely mature into a replacement for the stealth F-22 Raptor via the Air Force's next-generation air dominance program. So, if the Air Force is looking to bolster its own F-35s with a handful of more specialized fighters, what's to stop the Navy from following suit? Namely, the money. America's Defense Department has to compete within itself for portions of the budget, and while the Air Force considers new fighter acquisitions, the Navy is stuck trying to expand the size of its surface fleet to compete with China. America's Navy has something in the neighborhood of 293 vessels, with many slated for retirement in the coming decades. In order to keep pace with China's 700-size fleet, the U.S. Navy needs more ships, and ships are expensive. But what if the Navy were to find a way to hop into bed with the Air Force's multiple fighter programs? While trying to cram the word joint into a fighter program may give us all a bit of pause, for good reason. After the acquisition nightmare the F-35 has become, if a new jet could solve this problem for the Navy, what would it have to look like? To be clear, it would be asking a lot. In order to offset the area denial bubble created by China's anti-ship weapons, this new jet would need to have a massive amount of range and a tiny radar profile. Does this even matter if we don't go to war with China? While the capabilities the US is developing with an eye toward China will certainly benefit combat operations in any theater, there's another important aspect of defense technology development that warrants consideration: diplomatic leverage in the pursuit of deterrence. Like Theodore Roosevelt's talk softly and carry a big stick approach to diplomacy, military capability is often as much about the threat of use as it is about actual use. When engaged in diplomatic talks, the understanding that warfare is foreign policy by other means is ever present. When it comes to aggressive states like China, who are moving to enforce illegal claims over the hotly contested South China Sea, knowing we can't stop them plays an important role in how they approach the subject in international dialogue. Likewise, if China is aware that the US possesses the capability to do away with their anti-ship arsenal and begin launching combat sorties in their airspace, it forces them to engage with the dialogue directly. A great deal of foreign policy really comes down to posturing and veiled threats, but threats are only effective when they're backed by real capability. From a strategic military standpoint, the most effective way to deter a 21st century war with China is to ensure America would win such a conflict. In order to get to that point, the capability gap created by China's area denial bubble needs to be closed. And right now, that all boils down to fuel range.